Are you going on a Royal Caribbean cruise and you're trying to decide whether or not to go to one of the specialty dining restaurants? If so, this series of videos is for you. In this episode, I'll go to Jamie's Italian for the very first time, and I'll tell you what I think, both good and bad. And at the very end, I'll actually add something that I've never done before, because this restaurant actually has 2 dishes that they charge extra for. And I'm going to go back a second time and get one of those right after this. Welcome to Jamie's Italian. This specialty dining restaurant can be found currently on 7 of Royal Caribbean's ships. And not to spoil anything, but in my opinion, it's much better than Giovanni's. It has an amazing menu where all the pasta is made fresh every day. I started with the cured meat plank. After that, I had the deep fried squid and also the truffle arancini. And now for the main course. They did have quite a selection of pastas, but I settled on the penne pasta, which was outstanding. And for my side, I had the polenta chips. Now, the sides were a little limited, and that is one of the things that I thought could have been a little bit better. They do have a pretty good selection of wines. I decided to go with the California Chardonnay, which was much better than I expected for $11. When my waiter first started setting up for the appetizer, specifically the meat plank, he brought these 2 cans out and put them on the table and said something along the fact that he'd be right back to make my appetizers. I misunderstood him, so I thought he was going to open those cans and make something out of them, but they were just to hold the plank up. And this is the selection of meats they gave me, and I have to say, again, not to constantly compare this to Giovanni's, but there's no comparison. The last time I was at Giovanni's, they gave me, for my meat tray, they gave me olive loaf that you can get at like a local, I don't know, cheap grocery store. That is the squid, and those are the truffle balls. That's what I've started calling them. The truffles were not as tasty as I've had in the past. I noticed that at several restaurants on this cruise that had truffle items, and I mean, they were very good, but they didn't have that earthy taste that truffles typically have. But other than that, these tasted kind of like rice balls, but they were outstanding. The waiter actually recommended them as his favorite. And this is my penne pasta. They come around with tons of freshly grated Parmesan for it, which is great. As you can see, it's a pretty good sized portion. And these are the polenta chips, which were quite tasty as well. And this is the dessert menu. I had the tiramisu, which was highly recommended by the waiter as well. He also recommended the cheesecake, and when I went back for the second time, which I'll put at the end of the video, I did have the cheesecake, and I also had one of the grappas, which I'll talk more about in a second. But the tiramisu was very fresh. You can tell it wasn't sitting around for a long time. It was very flavorful. You could taste the coffee and the creaminess to it. It was very good as well. So all in all, I definitely think Jamie's Italian deserves the 5 stars. It is by far the best Italian food you can find on Royal Caribbean ships. The staff every single staff went way above and beyond. The cured meat plank was fantastic. The only 2 negatives I have, and I only listed one on here, was the dessert selection and the appetizer selection. They were both extremely small and not very diverse. As promised, here's my review of my second visit when I had to pay more for an extra meal. So I got the luxurious lobster linguine, which was an extra $9.99. And here it is. It was amazing. Now, I do have one negative. The amount of pasta was very small. There wasn't very much linguine, but the lobster was great. The scallops were perfectly cooked. The mussels, the clams were outstanding. The squid was actually a little off in the cooking, but so little that I'm going to ignore that. Here is the grappa. And if you've never had grappa before, grappa, unlike most liqueurs, it really varies based on the company that distills it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It was nice to go with the dessert, which we got the lemon cheesecake. I went with a father and son that were on the cruise with me, and the cheesecake, although I don't think it was as good as the tiramisu, was very, very good as well. And this is a look at their 2 meals. One of them got chicken parmesan and the other one got short ribs. I didn't try either one of them, but they both said they were fantastic. Thank you for watching. My name is Sean, and this is the Third Orbit Travelers. If you enjoyed this video or got any value out of it, please give it a thumbs up. If you like travel videos like long-form travel vlogs, reviews like this one, tours of ports or cruise ships, consider subscribing. See you next time.